Good morning, everyone. Welcome to episode 1 of Hospitality Career Connection. I am Dr. Niki Davis, and I am the program director for the Hospitality, Tourism, and Event Management bachelor's degree program at Southern Illinois University. And with me today, I have Mr. Zachary Sims, and I will let him introduce himself real fast.
Hi, I'm Zachary Sims. I'm a graduate of the Southern Illinois University Hospitality Program in 2012, and I'm currently a co-owner of our company in Orlando, Florida, Innocent Sky Entertainment, that is a photo, video, and marketing agency.
So Zachary is going to be our first guest today, and then for the rest of season 1 and hopefully into some future seasons, if we can get all of this pulled together right. He'll be our co-host, and we will be bringing in some other folks from our program as well as alumni that are out in the industry. And then later on, probably into fall semester, we live in semesters in my world, we'll bring in some other folks from the industry. So let's see, we have some show notes. One of the reasons, and Zachary and I have talked for many months about doing something like this. One of the reasons that we decided to do kind of this Facebook Live, later hopefully we'll turn it into a podcast, is to really bring some awareness to what careers in the hospitality and tourism industries really look like. And we'll talk about traditional career paths, hotel management, restaurant management, some of the more traditional things that are a part of our industry, and then also some of the more unique things. And that's kind of where Zachary comes in, because he started out in a somewhat traditional path and then has now launched off into this little bit more unique entrepreneurship path. So Zach, when you first started in our program, and I won't date either one of us and tell how long ago that was, but when you first started, you came to us right out of high school. You started in as a freshman, and you had already spent, 2 summers, I think, 2 or 3 summers working for a theme park. And that was kind of your passion. So tell us a little bit about that and why that theme park industry for you.
Yeah, so when I grew up visiting theme parks with my family, specifically Dollywood in East Tennessee. And I actually had decided at 5 years old that I wanted to own Dollywood. I wanted to own a theme park, right? And so no idea how any of that works, right, as a 5-year-old. And so I grew up with that. That's my goal. And around age 12, learned, okay, maybe owning a theme park is a little bit different. And so I had said, okay, I'm going to be president of Dollywood or whatever it needed to be, right? I wanted to run it. And so my mom agreed. They said, hey, if you want to, because I lived in Illinois, my grandparents lived down there. You can go live summers with them and try it out. So when I turned 15, I actually started summers down there. So I guess I would be my freshman, sophomore year of high school. So 3 or 4 summers before SIU. Went down there, absolutely loved it, and decided that's the career I wanted. And I found out about hospitality being a program after I had already enrolled in SIU in marketing. And so I switched my major to be a minor in marketing and majoring in hospitality. And that was kind of how it went. I did my both internships at Dollywood, and then I was offered a year-round position upon graduation to move down to Tennessee.
Yeah, and that's really one of the best scenarios of how we want things to work, right? When we go to college, we want to have that industry experience behind us, and whether that's internships or summer jobs or whatever that looks like, because that's typically what launches you, directly into your career, right after you graduate. So you walk off that stage with your diploma and you can walk straight into a job. And that's one of the things that we have always tried to really encourage and really try to do with our students, is make sure they have the practical experience like what you got, whether it's theme parks or hotels or whatever, because it's that experience in combination with the degree that you're getting that pushes you to that next step pretty quickly. Right after graduation, you were ready to walk into your career, and that's a great, wonderful thing. And I'm sure a lot less stress as you're graduating.
It was a lot less stress. It happens very quickly too, because I graduated on a Saturday and I lived in Tennessee the next day. So, because I started work on Monday, 9 hours away. So, and it is the best way, because my internship that was required luckily it fit the job that I had and I wanted. But it did lead to me getting that year-round offer. And, when it's a seasonal position, because a little bit different than a hotel or casino or events even, theme parks other than here in Florida are very seasonal in the US. So to be able to kind of prove myself during the internships and those things that were required, I think totally led to me getting a year-round offer instead of just saying, here's a 9-month job, figure out unemployment or whatever for those 3 months.
Yeah. So it was that combination that kind of launched you into the management aspects of what you were doing. So you were having all of the fun and working with rides and doing some of those kinds of things, but you were in management roles. And that allowed you to keep that job through the entire year, as opposed to just being one of the seasonal employees that sometimes go from place to place depending on what their interest in the career is. So you were in management. So tell us a little bit about what that career path looked like for you. You started out, in one job, and if I recall, it's been a couple of years, but if I recall, you were promoted pretty quickly, right, into some higher level jobs, and then there was a bit of a move in there for you too.
There was. So one of the things that I tell people, especially in the hospitality industry, if you hate change, it's probably not the greatest industry for you. If you want to advance, if you don't want to advance, if you want to stay exactly where you are, probably okay. But right after college, I actually was in admissions as what they call a team lead. So I was supervising around 20, 25 people, but more kind of like a shift leader or whatever each place that people have worked would call it. And by the end of that year, I got moved into attractions. The next year, I think I went through 3 different job titles, from lead, senior lead to supervisor, which put me in salary with all the great things that come with salary, of course, which, insurance and 401k and all that stuff. At the time, because I graduated college a year early because I did a community college program before high school. So I was 22 and no, it was 21 and had salary and 401k and like all the stuff that you don't even really fully understand, but you want. And so I was in that. And even as a supervisor level when I was at Dollywood, I moved from attractions to transportation to parking, helped with the resort and just different stuff. And I got May of 2015, there was an opening at a different property because where we were part of an umbrella group, right? There was 26 properties total across the nation. And there was an opening in Missouri. And I had never thought about leaving Dollywood. I had never thought, never had entered my mind. I was thinking maybe there's a change, but I figured that was within Dollywood. And the same company had an opening in Branson, Missouri. It was a great opportunity. I interviewed and I lived there within 30 days of finding out the position existed even. So it's another one of those quick changes, just like after college. I got a job and I lived in a different state 15 days later, and including my 2-week notice. So, but I took the opportunity. It was more money, more responsibility. It was a different park. It gave me different experiences. And I think that's good. It was scary at the same time, but I encourage people, if you're comfortable, you probably need it. And I was comfortable. And it led to exactly where I am today.
That's incredible. That's one of the things that I talk to prospective students and parents about frequently, is this opportunity to, you can stay in your home area, your hometown, if you want to, in our industry. And certainly some places there's a larger industry than others, and definitely metropolitan areas versus rural areas where we're at, or where SIU is at, where I'm at. You're not here anymore. But being able to pick up and accept opportunities that allow you to move different places. One of our upcoming guests has traveled all over the world. She's in events and she's been in all sorts of incredible places. But we also have people that own their own event management or wedding planning companies, and they stay put. They're in that raising a family kind of lifestyle, and the days of travel and moving, and that's kind of over for them. So you really do have these wonderful opportunities to be either or, and to change as you need to and as your own life stages change.
And that's the beautiful part with hospitality and events. the information and the knowledge that you learn, my current business necessarily isn't hospitality and events, but it is at the same time
Right.
because I work with hospitality businesses. I work, event management is the same thing that you're always going to do. And just like you said, if you want to be in a small town, it's still great to have all of that knowledge. If you're going to own an event business, you still need to know that information. And hotels are everywhere. You don't have to live in Orlando, Florida to be a general manager of a hotel or a front desk manager. Paducah and Carbondale and, not every town has a hotel, but most every town, has a hotel, whether it's 100 rooms or whether it's 4,000 rooms, depending on what you're looking for.
And those are some of the more traditional routes. And we'll talk about those as we go through. I'm talking in seasons because I think we're going to do seasons with semesters in our world. So we do have a few people watching. So if anybody has any questions, please shout them out. Let us know where you're watching from. We're happy to answer questions as they come in. Otherwise, we're just going to keep talking because that's what we do best.
And we can do that forever.
Right, yeah. You know what? That is, I would say that's a prerequisite to our industry, but not necessarily. Maybe certain parts of our industry. You took your love of marketing, and I kind of remember this. We did some cool marketing things when you were in the program. You took that experience and that love for marketing and kind of jumped off into this entrepreneurial role that you have now, which was kind of, I think to the outside onlooker might have been one of those quick changes again, although I'm sure you'd been thinking about it for a while. But as you said, you're not in a traditional hospitality job anymore. You took those skills and those passions, and you are doing something still in the service realm, and still certainly working with hospitality industries. But tell us about that process. What caused you to kind of shift gears away from that theme park passion?
Yeah. So, I think that a lot of people in 2020, myself included, took the time to say, what are my passions? What are my goals? What am I looking for in life? And, I quickly just said, I don't know if I am where I'm supposed to be. And what I looked at it is I loved what I was doing and I loved the theme park industry, but I wasn't necessarily where I wanted to be. And I think that paradigm shift came with 2020, because I was furloughed for about 2.5 months before getting called back, which totally understood, but it gave me that time to think what's important to me. And instead of putting where I worked before where I lived, I kind of shifted those around during that time in my paradigm and said, I can change where I work anytime I wanted to, but where you live, that's really where you are 24/7. If that's not where you want to be, you have to change that part. You can do what you love almost anywhere. Right. And so my husband's job was ended at the company that he was with in marketing. And so we decided, if the eggs weren't in the same basket enough, both of us being in marketing, we then decided to start a company. And so he started a company last year. And, with the stimulus money and things, he invested that into a company. And I would say we probably were the only Amazon boxes showing up that were to start a business in our neighborhood and not for TVs and things. And I kind of saw that passion that he had to do what he loved and make his own money. And, if he didn't work, he didn't make money. If he worked, every dollar came to him, after expenses and things. And, just kind of saw that. And I said, okay, that's what he's passionate about. But I love marketing, but I don't necessarily love what I'm exactly doing as much as I could. And so we actually went on our honeymoon to Orlando, Florida. And about 15 days after we came back, there was a random cold snap in October, unseasonably cold.
I remember.
And it dawned on me right then. We went out. It was our first time to eat out since the honeymoon at Disney World. And I'm like, I hate the cold. And he's on board because yeah. And so I said, where can we live? I'm like, so hear me out. I'm crazy. But where can we be U.S. citizens, an hour from a major theme park, and affordable living and be warm? And so, kind of seems so simple that our decision based around climate, but it really was. I mean, that's how much we hate the cold. Like, that's not, we don't like it, we hated it. And so, and he has a condition where like his actual like fingers go numb from the cold. So I'm like, why are we living somewhere that it hurts? And some people love the cold, and to each their own. And so we kind of settled on Florida because those are both places we could agree on and affordable. And it's like, what do we do? Do I go work for the mouse? What is it? And we kind of took those next few months to say, the housing market was great in our area, as many places are right now. So we could make a good, significant amount of money, which I recommend to people. Like, it sounds like I'm a 90-year, like my grandparents, they are not 90, but and saying invest in housing and you can make a great return.
Sure.
But I was fortunate that both of my moves, the housing market was in my favor. And so we put our house, we started talking about that. We did a massive yard sale the next month and kind of just said, yeah, we just want to possibly downsize. We don't know. We took a vacation week to apartment shop in January, and we lived here in February. So definitely wasn't my usual overnight moves or 15 days. But I completely uprooted, quit my 15-year career to say I want to be on my own, make my own money, make my own decisions, work when I want to work. I didn't necessarily want to figure out my own insurance and 401k
Right.
and all of that.
Yeah.
But it's those things, and I definitely wouldn't change anything that I did, because I probably wouldn't be here doing what I love if it hadn't been for that. And it is very related to the hospitality industry. Like, I'm still using all those marketing things that we did. And it's funny because I'm going to date us slightly. When you said we did some fun marketing stuff while I was in college and different things, programs, I still remember, and I think it's funny that the hashtag had just started.
Oh, yes, your day.
Like, all I could think of was like,
quite a bit there.
That is the first time I heard about hashtags, and now it's like all I think about.
That it's been a few years. It's for both of us. I'll just tell people how old I am. I actually graduated from SIU with my undergrad in marketing in '96, and spent a number of years in marketing and in sales, and then kind of in event planning. And I think events just kind of creeps into every job in our industry, but and had an opportunity to go back and do my graduate work. And I kind of jumped on that because, like you, I wasn't exactly where I wanted to be in my own career. And I was very kind of specific in what I wanted to do after graduation, graduating from SIU. And I did all of those things. And I was kind of to a point where I was comfortable. You mentioned that a while ago, being comfortable, and that's kind of when maybe you need the change. So I went back and started my master's degree in, I don't even remember the year I got married. So 2002, I think, maybe 2001. I actually don't remember. How sad is that? And then
a lot of life has happened.
Yeah. The years run together the older you get. And finished my PhD much, much later after that, both in education. And that was kind of where my passion, lay at that point, and was able to then step back into the program and teach at that point. So all of that said, I've been in the program technically since 2002 in various positions, and started teaching in 2004. So I've seen a lot of change. I've been part of that change and the curriculum updates and all of the things that keep us updated and connected to the industry. And this is kind of the next step for me, making sure that we can build some awareness about the industry and the jobs. And certainly post-pandemic, I think there's a lot of fear out there with regard to what the industry is going to look like in the next few years, and are there going to be jobs? And those are a lot of the conversations that I'm having with prospective students and parents now. You weren't the only one, I don't think, that took those few months that you had to yourself and kind of repositioned your life, and based on what you wanted to do and where you wanted to be, and how you wanted to grow, somewhat personally, but certainly professionally, you took that leap. And that's a scary leap for a lot of people. So kudos for you, both of you for doing that. So tell us about your company now. And I'll put up your website so people can get to it.
So we own Innocent Sky Entertainment. And so we were kind of coming up with a name, like, we do photography, we do videography, and we do marketing. And so how that kind of fit together, we're like, that's basically an entertainment company. So basic from anything from family use to commercial use, whether it's a photo shoot, senior photos, weddings, engagements, your vacation photos, which is unique, right? That's not a lot of places you can live that people want a professional photographer for their vacation, but Orlando people do, to go with them to Disney and Universal and things. And so we do that. Commercial, we've done some music videos for people in country music and different things, which I think is just interesting. You know, I never thought about being in music industry at any point, and now I'm kind of am. And then also marketing. So from personal branding with folks on how to optimize social media for them, because that's everything these days, to graphics, to connecting them with website builders, you know, kind of full service. Most everything in marketing, other than, I mean, even a small amount like crisis management, but not an intense portion. But most all new medias and things will help people out, from filming their commercial to selling it. And we try to be that one-stop shop for marketing instead of, because it's very common. And I didn't even understand this until I got into marketing in theme parks, that everyone doesn't do all the things, you know, or like you go to one person and they do video, they don't actually offer photo services. And I'm like, well, that's weird because it's cameras. And, you know, but that same person doesn't offer you brand strategy, or they don't offer you graphics. And I'm like, but why? You know? And so we kind of took his creative in my business and kind of put them together. And here we are. I like to say this is like year 2 of year 1. So, because we completely started a business in Missouri and attempted to, like, you know, kind of get that off the ground, and we had some steam. And it's not a business that people necessarily follow you in. Marketing work you can, but we weren't doing marketing yet because I was still working full time there. So just kind of building that entire base up here in Orlando. And, you know, it's 2021 now. You know, I have marketing clients in Texas, even though I live in Orlando. And I think that's kind of the nicest part about living in 2021. Like, I love technology. Sometimes it may go too far for people, I get, but you can live and work wherever you want, you know, at this point in the digital age. And it's a little bit harder, obviously, necessarily in hospitality, but there's portions of the hospitality that, you know, especially on the back of the house stuff, like finance and things like that, you know, that you don't have to live at the hotel, or you don't have to live where your job is, per se.
Right. Well, especially when you get into those corporate positions where you can be a little bit more remote. That's one of the things that really, clearly nobody saw the pandemic coming, right? But one of the things that was very clear, that for events to survive and thrive, there was this massive and very quick punt, if you will, to virtual events. And as a result, in our program, we did a very quick punt to teaching virtual event planning, insofar as we could do that in the short time frame. So, you know, just one of the ways that we're trying to keep up with what's going on out there, and bringing in people, you know, like you and Zachary. You've been wonderful coming in and talking to classes about the different aspects of your career. And we have a lot of alumni that do that, and a lot of industry partners that do that for our students. So keeping those connections really makes a lot of sense, and allows our students to start building their own network. You know, just as college students, sometimes as college freshmen sitting in that intro level course that we offer, they can start building that network and then see where that takes them, you know, over their college career and beyond, certainly. That brings us to the end. Go ahead.
That you mentioned, like, virtual events and just different things like that, like where the industry is heading. And it's almost like that could be, you know, from, will we have virtual events forever? Yes. You know, we had virtual events prior to the pandemic, and I think it put more notice in it. But I also think that there's kind of a new segment of virtual now that could start from this, where people really do want to be virtual forever. You know, they don't want to travel because they want the same information. And so, like, I attended AdWorld for the first time this year, and it was 100% virtual. And, you know, they're used to 50, 75,000 people or more in person. And The technology, though, that they had for
Mm-hmm.
AdWorld was very, very different than we had in 2020. At the beginning of the pandemic, you could tell
Sure.
that they had paid a lot of money to have stages. So it was like rooms and private chats. And I mean, this entire website was developed. And I think that they clearly, though, had people who do event planning working with people in technology to do it, because there was no way that IT had that event brain, but there
Sure.
was no way that event had the IT brain. So I think that event and IT probably came very close together for that. But at the same time, in-person events I don't think will ever go away. We're seeing that here in Orlando. From like right now, the Orange County Convention Center is a massive volleyball tournament. Like, you can't come within 2 miles without seeing a volleyball team. I think last night I drove down International Drive and I had 3 entire teams walk across crosswalks. And so, it all will come back, I think. And I think that it's just a different way now that event management will learn. We're going to do this in person and we're going to do it virtual at the same time. We're seeing a lot of times. So.
Yeah, that's kind of where the forecast, if you will, is headed. And something like 25% of the events, and they're mostly corporate, will stay virtual. I'll say it that way. Small events that now that we have the technology, we know we can do it. We can keep doing it that way and save a little bit of that travel cost in some cases. But I also think, and I'm kind of seeing this now that we're coming out of a pandemic and conferences and conventions are becoming, or at least planning to be face-to-face, I'm seeing the combination still. And I think, and certainly I was one of those that took advantage of all the virtual conferences I could, because they were conventions that I couldn't get to in person. So I just kind of, took advantage over 2020 to do all of the ones I never could in person. But what I was seeing with the ones that I do attend in person is a massive amount of people attending virtually, where there might only be a few hundred, maybe 1,000 people attend in person. So I think being able to reach that many more people is going to keep us kind of doing this dual multimodal, situation, if you will.
Yeah.
And
it's capitalism. There will always be a way to monetize.
Oh yeah. Are you watching the comments?
I am.
Our mother is watching.
Mama Moore, my favorite.
That tells you how close our students and faculty can get sometimes with regard to the various projects that we've worked on over the years. Mercy.
Even with Mama Moore.
Yeah, a few for sure. And that's another thing. We're a small program, but that allowed our students, and you were part of this, you experienced this too, allows our students to really become close-knit. And a lot of the group work that everybody grumbles about in the classroom, but that's where you form those relationships and form those bonds. And I've seen that over the years teaching, where those networks are forged in the classroom, those stay put after you guys graduate. And that's probably easier for your generation than it was for mine, because we have social media and things like Facebook now. But that's one of the benefits of having a little bit smaller program that you can step into and build those friendships, and they are lifelong, and you never know, down the road who you might need to tap, or who you might, see somewhere at a convention or whatever. So, think about that.
That is the nice thing with that small program, is you have a better support system, I think, and your instructors better. And sometimes their mother, with Mama Moore in the comment section. And but that's helpful. And you're not just, oh, I'm one person of 1,500 people in this program, or 800 people even in this program, which is nice, especially in hospitality, because you're going to have a lot of questions about this industry, I think. And there are people there. And what I thought was the most unique when I went through the program, though, is how different every student's experience was. Because, like that time, I was the only theme park person that wanted to be there, right? But there was people who wanted to be in casinos and hotels and event management, restaurants, and all of those people range too. Some people had never worked in a restaurant but wanted to go into a restaurant. Some people had been leads and were chefs and just different things. And that we had traditional students, non-traditional students. So I feel like there were so many life experiences that those people had that were very different. I think that's unique that you don't see a lot in other courses, because my courses outside of hospitality were very different, where everyone was the same, right? I have no experiences. I also come from the same place you do, and we're here.
Right. Yeah. So that diversity, just in the different work backgrounds, you know, and students who bring that into the classroom and are willing to share that experience in the classroom, makes those classroom conversations. We don't like to lecture, but makes those conversations a little bit more robust and sometimes eye-opening, even.
Yeah.
So
I think I learned so much about just like the restaurant industry, which I have never been in, other than busy days at a theme park when you assist everywhere.
Right. You get kind of
I think that I learned so much about the restaurant industry just from hearing other people who that's what they wanted to do in their life. But it's been very helpful, because when I have to work with food service and food and beverage people, I know a lot more of what happens actually in a kitchen just from hearing their experiences and things.
Sure. Absolutely. So I'll put your website back up real fast so people can catch it.
Yeah. And you're welcome to go on there, find our social media links. I run all of them. So obviously we're not a large company, so it's not like you're going to be talking to a stranger.
You're kind of a two-man crew right now. You never know where that's going to go. You might need more later.
Yeah. So whether you want to hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever it is, feel free to always send a question or email. Always happy to help prospective students or people who are not necessarily even thinking about SIU, just thinking about this industry, or you've already been a student and now you have questions or comments, concerns. I don't know. Need a sounding board? Feel free.
Brainstorm. We do a lot of that.
Yes.
For anybody interested in the program, that's our website, hospitality.siu.edu. Zachary is one of our alumni from just a handful of years ago, and has had a broad career. You kind of did many things in theme parks, and now you've jumped off into this entrepreneurial role. So Zachary will be our co-host from here on out after being our first guest. Thank you for being that first guest and for being the co-host.
Absolutely.
Having, 2 or 3 people in the conversation just livens things up a little bit. And that's kind of a wrap for episode 1 of Hospitality Career Connections. We were live on Facebook today. We'll be live on Facebook and YouTube in the future, and ultimately down the road, podcast as well. So you can catch us wherever you can catch us. So thanks, everybody. If you're watching on replay, please, leave questions. I'm the one that runs all the social media for the program. Certainly leave questions. I'll be happy to bounce back and answer those later. So, and join us in 2 weeks. We'll be live every 2 weeks with a new guest. See you guys later.